Good evening. This is Debbie Broughton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from St. Robert, Missouri. I'm hopping on here this evening to show you how to make a card with the new Prairie Grass stamp set. So I'm on here just a little bit early because I like to see if I'm straight. And I am pretty straight this evening. Oh, maybe not. Let me see if this helps. I might have made it worse. I did make it worse. It doesn't look that bad really until you start looking at the lines on the glass mat, and then you see, there they go. Now they're straight. So, I'm on here just a little bit early, so I'm going to wait just another minute or two before I start. I want to say that you can find this stamp set in the online store. It's an online exclusive that came out in July. We don't know how long the online exclusives stay. Some stay longer than others. Some are gone right away. But as far as I know, this one is still available. Hey, how about that? My nail polish kind of matches this card tonight. That usually doesn't happen, that I'm so coordinated. So I thought while we're waiting this extra minute or two to get started, I could go over the words that are in this set. It says, sometimes life is just hard. So very sorry. My shoulder is yours. You are not alone. I'm here for you. Sending the healing power of love. So these are good for get well, sympathy, maybe even thinking of you if somebody's just having a hard time about some things. So I really like it when we have stamp sets that have the silhouette things, because I think you could do so much with them and they're so easy to work with. So my laptop says it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to lay this aside because I already took out my stamps and put them on their blocks. And I have my 3 colors here. Just going to kind of make myself some more room. This ribbon has been retired for a very long time, and I had bought 2 rolls back when it was still current, and this is the very last piece of my gorgeous grape ribbon. So, yay! It only took me a few years to use up 2 rolls of gorgeous grape ribbon, but I finally did. Alright, so I'm going to put down a piece of scrap paper here. Usually I just do it on my glass mat, but I'm out of my little alcohol squares to clean it off. And the baby wipes are bigger, and they get it more wet than the alcohol wipes. So I'm just going to put down a piece of scrap paper here. I'm going to put the card up here. You probably can't see, but I can. So I can tell what I'm doing. So we're going to start first with this white piece that is the card front. And this is 5 inches by 3.5. So that's what it measures. So we're first going to take our Balmy Blue ink. I'm trying to see how this should go so that you can still see and I don't have my hands in the way. And I have my blue blending brush here. So I'm just going to get a little bit off. I'm going to put a little bit on, and then I'm going to take it and go on the scrap paper first so I don't get a big glob. And I'm going to do circular motions. That way you don't get kind of a definite line when you put in the next color. It kind of blends more if you do circles. So I'm just going to kind of like come across this and make circles. Let me get some more here. So see, I'm just kind of starting off the paper and moving on to the paper. I'm not sure how I got those dots there, but it's probably because my ink pad might need to be re-inked, because I used a lot of Balmy Blue making the 4 cards like this. So I'm just going to do the whole card front. And I leave some white in there because that could be the clouds. And I'm going to work a little bit more up here on these dots that I got in there. Oh, I don't know. They look kind of funny. I might have to try to hide them with the grass when or I'm just going to start over because it's just going to annoy me to have those dots, and hopefully I don't do worse on this side. So we'll get some, we'll go off, we'll go on, and we'll do circles. There, that's better. That's why paper has 2 sides, so you can mess up one side and turn it over and try your ink again. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. I might make up here just a little bit darker right at the very edge. Just however you like. That looks, and you can see like I left some white. That's good for the clouds. So now we're done with the Balmy Blue, so we're going to close it so I don't stick my hand in it by accident. And next we're going to go with the Highland Heather. And I have my pinkish purple blend here. I've already cleaned this off, so no more pink is going to come off of it. I'm just slowly building up my blending brush assortment. Hi, Shar. I'm so glad you are visiting me tonight in Nana's Stanford room. How's the weather in Wisconsin? We've been doing really nice till today. It's back up in the 90s again, but we were spoiled for a few weeks there. So now I'm just going to come in with this Highland Heather. And I'm going to kind of go maybe like a third of the way down. I just want a little bit of purple to be in the sky. And I don't want it to be too dark. And again, I'm making my circle so that it blends in better. So there we go. We have some purple in our sky now. So as long as we have this ink pad out, we are going to add the Highland Heather grass. Oh, the 70s were so nice. Last week, one day, it was like 56 when I got up in the morning, and it almost felt cold. Okay, so here I go with my... I like it when I have to use this big of a block to ink it this way. And I want to be very careful not... Look at how much I got there on the edges because I wasn't paying attention. Let me get a... I would use my finger, but then I'll have Highland Heather on my finger. Oh, 39. We haven't got... I live in St. Robert, Missouri, and it's like southern Missouri. So we're always a little bit warmer than things more north of us. Okay, I got ink on the... I just don't want a halo because then I'll have to start all over. That wouldn't happen if I held my ink pad straight the whole time. So I'm going to turn it this way just because it's easier for me. And I'm just going to make these go a little bit shorter. Well, perhaps a lot shorter than the first one. Okay. So now we're finished with that. We're going to clean off this stamp. And we're going to go with our Mossy Meadow to get some green in there. Now, I did watch Michelle Zindorf is she's just so amazing with her backgrounds that she makes and everything. So I did watch her video to learn how to do the background because I thought that was so pretty with the balmy blue and the Highland Heather. So now we'll break out the Mossy Meadow and we're going to ink it up. I try not to tip it too much when I did the top, but I did just a little bit. It's kind of hard with this big of a stamp, with this big of a block. Okay, so I want this time, if you notice on this card, this Mossy Meadow one goes almost all the way to the top. So I'm going to turn it this way again for me because it's just easy for me to stamp this way. And I'm going to make it go right up to the top. And there we are. Now we're going to fill it in down here with some of, you know, I think I put the wrong, I don't want the cattails. I wanted the grass. Because it's not by any water, so you wouldn't have cattails unless you were by a body of water. So we'll use the grass. And I might need to re-ink my Mossy Meadow too. We shall see. So this time I'm just going to put some grass down here at the bottom. And I'm going to put a lot of grass. In fact, I'm just going to kind of build it up pretty much down here at the bottom so that it looks like really thick grass. And then I'm going to take my green blending brush and just get a little bit of Mossy Meadow on here. And again, I'm going to go off the paper and swirl it onto the paper, just so we can get this to look like it's really thick grass down here, and that we don't see our sky so far down. So, I'm telling you, I'm going to have to get my re-inkers out. I should have checked them before I started, because when you do blending like this with them, you really do use up more ink than when you're just stamping. So it might just take me a little while here to get it built up. And a lot of it is going to be covered up with my greeting also. But see, I want it to all to be that dark. If I re-ink it right now, it'll be way too dark because I won't have time to soak in. So we're just going to kind of have to go with this for right now. It's always something when I'm stamping. Okay, I think that's pretty good now. Let me see what it looks like. So that does look like grass down there, and it's all growing up from there. And the next thing that Michelle did was she used an acrylic paint and a little brush, or you could use a white gel pen. I have these, let me find it, these painter pens, acrylic painters in white. I got them one time to do snowflakes. And we're just going to add some little flowers down here on the bottom just to kind of give it a little texture, and it looks like little flowers are growing down here in the grass. I'm not sure what kind of flowers since they're white, but if you wanted to, you could either use a different color, or after this dries, you could take a blend and or a marker and try to color them in. But I like the white. Just a little bit stuck down in there. So now we're going to let that dry just a little. it dries pretty instantaneously. And we're going to take our card base and we're going to fold it in half. And I also learned this hint. You know how sometimes when you use our glue and you go to push it down, it gets on your fingers and everything? Well, I heard this tip and I can't remember now who I heard it from, but I'm going to add my glue right now because that's the one reason I don't like using the glue, because I usually end up with it squirting out the sides or all over my fingers. So what I'm going to do is just let this dry for a minute over here. Not long, just long enough so it won't squish out so bad. And I'm going to make my greeting label. I just have this piece of scrap here. It is, let's see, 3/4 of an inch wide. And after I stamp my Have a Blessed Day, I will let you know how long it is. This is from the Unbounded Beauty. Well, see? The Unbounded Beauty stamp set. And I've used it a lot, and I really need to. Sometimes I have to take my photopolymers and just rinse them under some water to get their stickiness back. So that looks pretty good there. And since I just have a little bit to cut, if I can find my snips. I was doing some, I also make things with vinyl, and I was making some shirts for us, and I had my snips out there to cut in the vinyl. But I did remember to bring them back in here. Definitely not my ribbon snips, but just my regular ones. So there I have the label. Now this is probably kind of dry just a little. It doesn't have to dry a long time, just a little. And I want to be sure I put this on the right side of my card. Now I know that this has more border. I think maybe I must have read the directions wrong. I should have made this lavender be 5 1/4 by 4 instead of 3/4, and this, instead of being 5 by 3 1/2, I should have made it big by 3 1/4 or something. But so we'll just have a little bit more border here on the sides. But we don't want to lay this down yet because we want to put on our ribbon. Oh, now it's popping up on my laptop asking me if I want to do a Windows update. Not right now. Okay, so I have my tear and tape here and my last piece of gorgeous grape ribbon. You know, I buy the ribbon and then it's so pretty. I don't want to waste it, and then I end up with so much left over when it retires. So I'm trying to be more using my ribbon and my embellishments more so that I don't have so many left over when they retire. So I'm going to use my pick-a tool to pick off the white. And I'm going to put my ribbon here. I think this might be a little bit too long, but that's okay because I wasn't going to cut it till after I put it on here. And it's my last piece, so there was no use for me to try to save this little bitty piece that's going to be on here. I got to find my ribbon scissors. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to put a little glue back here. And we might just let it set for a minute. If I was going to put some words on the inside, I could be stamping them now. And sometimes people put another mat inside here and then another white piece to write on. But then that kind of makes, the more pieces you put in, the heavier your card gets. And you don't want it to be too heavy so they won't, you know, let it go in the mail with just one stamp because they're getting so expensive lately. So I'm going to add this to the front here. There we go. Let's see, no glue on my hands. Then we're going to take this label and we're going to add some glue to it. I could have did this a while ago so it could have been drying, right? We'll just try this one without drying and hopefully not get it on my fingers. And voila, you have a beautiful card. And it only took us 18 minutes, so that's not long for a card. Of course, I had everything cut and all my stamps and everything laid out here, which made it easier. And I really am sorry that I didn't make my Highland Heather paper be 5 by 4 or 5 1/4 by 4, and then this 5 by 3 3/4, because I made this be a 3 1/2. But it still looks fine. Nobody's gonna know that my other one doesn't have as big a border on the sides. I know what we forgot. We forgot to add some embellishments, because that is what I want to do more of lately too, so I don't end up with so many embellishments when things retire. So I was thinking this light purple right here looks pretty good with the Highland Heather, and I'm just gonna place 3 of them just in different spots. That was a big one. Here's a small one, and we'll do another big one. I guess maybe way up here. Then for this one, we'll put a big one up in this corner, and then we'll put 2 little ones right underneath it, just to give it a little bling. Now if you wanted to, you could get your Wink of Stella. Let me see where my Wink of Stella is. It doesn't show very much on the video, but it shows up great in person. And I'm just going to do, I think, my greeting. And just try to go lightly over this ink so that I don't smear it. So after we added the embellishments and the Wink of Stella, it took us 23 minutes. So that's not bad still for one card. I hope you have a great evening, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye.